Alright, hey guys. So in this video, we are going to now jump into filters. I talked a little bit about filters back when I introduced the smart object and how um, one of the aspects of a smart object allowed you to use non-destructive filters. So go ahead and open up this image here, this woman in face paint, and I'll introduce the filters, we'll go through them, and then I have an exercise planned for us as well to do as well. Um, so the first thing that we need to do when we're going to be applying filters is we need to first unlock this. And what we need to do is we want to convert it to a smart object. That way we can see our filters and we can turn them on and off. Now you don't have to do this, but I would always suggest converting to a smart object if you are going to use filters. Okay, so now we know it's a smart object because of that little page icon right there. And let's go up to filter here. Now, there's different ways that you can, there's different areas to access filters. So we have all of these right here that will, in essence, manipulate the photograph itself. It won't try to change the medium. For example, if we wanted this to look like brushstrokes or colored pencil or do things that are going to drastically change the medium, like if we're going to make the photograph look like it's something else, like a painting or a print or a watercolor or drawing, those are going to be up here in the filter gallery. But if we're going to be doing things like adding blur, right? Some of you have already been doing things like this, but let's go to the filter gallery here and I'll just show you, right? So it's going to bring up a different workspace, different windows here. And a lot of your controls are gone, but we're here, we can still zoom in and out. Your command plus and minus still work to zoom in and out. But here we have, I'm going to collapse this, we have different folders here with different filters. So like I said, so artistic, right? We can go through and we can click on each of these, and these are all going to apply a different filter, right? So if I go back to colored pencil here, right, it's going to basically take that image and it's going to make it look like it were a colored pencil drawing. And you can change some of the settings here, right? Here I can play with the width, right? I can play with the stroke pressure. I can change the brightness of the paper, right? And all of these, right, if I go to rough pastels, right, all of these will have some sliders to adjust that are particular to that filter itself, right? So if I come here and if I want to, right, do things here. Now there's, there's a lot you can do with filters, and I kind of wanted to wait a little bit until we got some familiarity with Photoshop before we started jumping around and playing with these. But go ahead and take note of these and come through these, and in your own time, look at the ones that and really get a chance to go through these sliders. Now I'm going to have us do an exercise at the end of this video where you're going to have to go through and find 8 of these filters to work with yourselves. But just to show you here, so there are some things that we can do as well that change the surface, right? So if I want to make this look like, right, the surface of the image itself has been manipulated, right? And so again, you can play with, the tile size. Here on mosaic tiles, I can change the width of the grout. I can lighten and darken that just to give that image, the appearance that it's on a different surface, okay? So I'm just going to come back to colored pencil. And so once I found one that I like, for example, then I can hit OK. And then it brings me back to the Photoshop workspace that we're familiar with. And we can see Smart Filter is on here. And then I can turn this on or off, right? And what's nice is that you can actually, so once I've applied that one filter, I can come back up to filter and go back to filter gallery. And then now I can apply a second one if I wanted to. So now if I wanted to make this, so if I come back to mosaic tiles, so then I can make it look like it's a colored pencil on mosaic tiles, right? And then I can come back and you could keep doing this, right? Now I can, if I wanted to distort, so I can make it look like it's a distorted color pencil drawing on mosaic tiles through glass. So you can, right, you can kind of go crazy with these, and you can see you have all of these on, and you can turn them on and off individually, right? Just know that as you start working with filters, this is going to take up some significant RAM, and you might see things slow down a little bit, but that's the nice thing about these filters, is that you can use as many as you'd like, essentially. The other nice thing is I'm gonna clear all of this. So the other nice thing you can do too is you can also just apply a filter to a selection in the image. So if I come to my quick selection tool, let's just say I select her face, and now if I come up to filter, and I'll go back to filter gallery, I can affect just, I'm going to come back up to, let's see, I can affect just the selection, which is kind of cool. Right? So it's just her face that's being affected here. Right? I'll play around with these a bit. Right? Okay. So let me show you kind of a, so let's just say, let's walk through this one together. We're going to do some filters. Let's say we want to make this image look like it's an old photograph, right? I mean, that's kind of a thing you see a lot with Photoshop, right? So if we have, let's just say we want to make this, again, we want to make this look old. So the first thing we're going to do is, again, we're going to make sure it's a smart object, and just showing you a couple of the filters here of what we can do. So I showed you some of these media change filters, right, where it goes to, color pencil or paint, or we do some other stylization things here. But now let's go to these here, right? And blur galleries are a really helpful one. And if any of you are familiar with photography and things like bokeh and tilt shift photography right here, you can kind of make that stuff look really authentic here. So I'm going to come into tilt shift, right? What tilt shift does is that's going to give me a central focal point here that I can move around, right? This little white ring around here is determining how much blur. So if I put that down, it's not going to blur much, radiating up and down. But if I circle this and keep going, you can see it's getting more and more blurred the further out I go, right? So that's the first level of decision making you have here, is actually how much blur is radiating out. I can set the rotation, right? Which way that blur is going to happen. Let's just say I'll turn it this way. And then as I hover over each of these lines, I can set two different points as to where that blurring is going to occur, right? So if I bring this in, that blurring is going to occur in a linear direction going out this way, and it's going to get, and then here's that secondary line where it's going to get more blurry. So I'm going to keep the focal point on her face, and I'm blurring things out, right, away from these two lines, and we're going to give it, quite a bit of blur here. And then also too, if I just click right here, I can move this focal point wherever I want, but I'm going to keep it right in the middle here. Okay. And then here we also have sliders and things that we can affect as well here. So, but just using the controls here visually, I can get a good amount of control here. So once we've got our nice tilt shift, let's just hit OK. Okay. And again, so we're trying to make this look old. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down into our adjustment layers, and I'm going to make a gradient map. And let's try to find a nice sepia tone, right? A nice brownish tone, right? In some of these old-timey photographs. Okay, so maybe something like that, okay? And then what I'm going to do is I want to apply some noise here, but I'm going to make another layer, and I'm going to fill this, but I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to just come up to edit, and I'm going to fill. And here we have contents, and I'm going to make sure I'm going to come down to 50% gray. Okay, again, so contents, 50% gray, and then put that opacity to 100. Okay. Actually, let me put that opacity down, not to 100. Let's say 40%. Okay. And what I'm going to do now is, again, using my filters here, I'm going to make sure I'm on this layer, this gray layer. And I'm going to come up to filter, and then I'm going to come to add noise. Okay. And adjust this as you like, but we're just going to break up some of that gray so we get something that looks like this. Right? So yeah, let's see. Yeah, make sure monochromatic. Right? You can play with that as well too, but we've added in some gray noise. We got a little bit of that sepia that's coming through on the edges there. But now, and also, going from the blend modes too, we can also, if you wanted to play around and see what these different blend modes would do, right, with that gray layer. Now we could turn this off and, and then also play around with some of these. Oh, sorry. So this is our old image, right? We've kind of made this image look like it's older. So what I'd like you to do is so this one here is the first one, right? So this old filter effect that we've kind of put down here. And what I'd like you to do is I want you to go through and I want you to create 8 different filters on this image, and I'll kind of walk you through that right now. So come up to File, and let's create a new document. And I already was kind of playing around with this, but let's go ahead and make this 3600 pixels wide and 2500 pixels high. 72 DPI and RGB mode is fine. And go ahead and hit create. And let's come back to our woman here. And what I want to have you do is I want to have you move each one of these into our document here and label what filters are being applied. But if I want to select all of this, and if I try to move this, I can move it, and I'm going to just let go right here. But you see, it's kind of doing a lot of thinking, right? It's trying to render everything, and now if I try to resize this, Command T, it's going to turn the smart filters off until I make the adjustment. So I'll hit OK, and we can see if I go to resize, right? Every time I do this, it's going to have to think and render, and it's just slowing things way down. So I'm going to Command Z. I'm going to get out of that, and I'm going to come back to our woman here. And what I'll have you do is every time you've done this, just come up to, layer, and just flatten the image. Okay, that's going to take it back into just a background mode. So now to move it, you're going to have to unlock it again, and then we'll use our Move Tool V. But I'm just going to hover over my new document, drag down, and then let go. And now we can see it's much easier to work with, right? But it's a little bit big here, and I'm going to have you Command T to transform this, but rather than doing it manually, here we'll do it with some numbers up here. So here we can see these are linked. The width right now and the height are 100%, the size that they are locked into place. So let's just do 75, and you'll see that the width scales accordingly. And then now we have enough room that we can fit 8 of them, 4 on the top, 4 on the bottom, and then just label underneath, what filter is being applied. So the first one for all of you should be this old image, right, with the tilt shift, the sepia tone, and then the gray, and then the noise, right? So that should be the first one for everybody. So go ahead and check that. And then when you come back to this image, you could reload the image if you wanted to, or you could just Command Z, right, and just get back to, right, just get back to the original image. Make sure it's a smart object, and then again, so we'll come up to Filter, Filter Gallery, and then you have to find 8 of these total. So I'm going to just come up and let's just say I keep coming back to this colored pencil one. I like this one. So, you know, adjust the image as you'd like, and then hit OK. And then we have our image here. And then again, what you can do here is you can come up to Layer, Flatten Image, so it's a background, and then unlock it. And then with our Move tool, you could hit V, and then you can just click and drag that into our larger document here. Again, it's a little bit large, so what we'll do is Command T to free transform, and then right here again, this is where we'll change this 100% to 75, and then accept that. And then we can see Photoshop is really nice, right? As we start moving things around, it's going to start guessing what we're trying to do. So these little purple guidelines will snap up to let us know that we're in the middle of the document or next, or the spacing here. So what you'll do is you'll do this 8 times. I'm going to do one more here just to kind of walk you through again. So come back to Filter. And these don't all have to be from the filter gallery. You could do some of these here that manipulate the photo itself. So we could come to Pixelate and then, I don't know, Crystallize. Okay. And then again, all of these different filters will have various controls to play around with. So we'll hit OK there. And then we're going to come up to Layer, and Flatten Image. Okay, unlock the background using our Move tool, or V. We're going to click, drag that over our document, and then release, and then Command T to transform, set this value to 75, and then there we go. And then we'll move, right? We'll move this into place. So what you'll do is you'll have 4 on the top, 4 on the bottom, and then just with the text tool, when you're all finished, maybe just create a new text layer and just briefly write, you know, just write out each one so you can see for yourself, and then also so you're getting familiarity with how to use these filters and what they actually look like. Okay? And then when you're finished with this, what you'll do is you're going to send it to me as a JPEG actually. So we're going to come up, when this is all done, you're going to come up to File and then Save As. And then here we'll have Filter, Exercise. And you're going to come down to JPEG right here. And then it's going to ask you for the quality. You can just put this at 5 wherever it pops up. Just put it at 5. 5 is fine. And then hit OK, and wherever that document was, that's what you're going to upload to me for this exercise. Okay?